Hi everyone. I'm here today to discuss the meanings of the eighth house. So we are going very psychological today because this is the house which is going to be talking about our shadow, the way we can explode, something to do with our powers, or how extreme we can go, what do we need to give up in ourselves, and how we can transform. This house actually rules the color red. When it comes to plants, it's going to be mushroom and some type of horse radish, some parasitic plants. Its flavor is very yeasty. It rules over Scorpio, Piders, bloodsucker, tick, bats. Usually this would indicate that someone has got dark hair, dark eyes, slim body, prominent face, like penetrating eyes, and dark features. And when it comes to the body parts, it rules anything which is hidden. So the genitals, the utera, adrenal glands, and some of the jobs which belong here is psychology, psychiatric, surgeon, funeral assistants, some type of hermits. So the eighth house very much talks about your subconscious mind. It is connected to the meaning of Scorpio as well. So our guilt, the resentment, the desire to control, the spite, and how revengeful we are, also described by his house. So for example, I give you an example there. Maybe a Scorpio moon man might have got wronged by their mother, and he gets justified by taking his rage out on women. So somehow we're talking about a vengeful victim. And that's where the shadow self is coming to the picture, the hidden aspect of your personality, something we tend to be sweeping under the carpet. Also, this house talks about the ancestral and family taboos, the skeletons basically in the closet. So, the eighth house is ruled by Scorpio and the planet Mars and Pluto. Pluto is the modern ruler, and yes, in astrology, Pluto is classified as a planet. The eighth house is a mysterious sector that rules over birth, death, sex, transformation, mysteries, merged energies, and bonding at the very deepest level. For me, this house is significantly shows indications of the shadow of the psyche. So our deepest fears, and as well as the way out of those. So any planet in here shows what you need to work on to gain light. This house is the soul search. The area of life and its ruler will show where we need to dig deep to see our obstacles. Let's not forget that this house is the opposite of the second house. So the self-worth axis. So the eighth house shows the blockages, the ones which are hindering us from achieving happiness. This is the house of intense emotional wells. It is a water house, fixed energy. I usually describe this house as an ice cube. So first we need to melt that away so that we can gain the second house strongest suits. The biggest mysteries of life is also found here, which we eventually solve by dying. So this is the house of death. This house will also show how scared you are of dying. So the more scared you are, the more it indicates that you have got some unfinished business here. The house which shows the secrets of the soul. And of course, we are trying to fight against those fears. I believe, instead of embracing them. And that is the reason why I would say that eighth house talks about the power and the power struggles. So we can choose to be in a rut and play power struggles, or you can actually embrace it and turn it to become a strength of yours. This is the house where the most critical events happen in your life, especially when it gets triggered by the progressed moon, for instance, or some of your transits as well. There is a kind of a point where, you know, enough is enough, and something needs to happen to push you through that threshold where you must make a decision about your life. So compulsion, obsessions are also topics here. So, for instance, a heavy eighth house can indicate someone who might not want to embrace their occult powers, and therefore they turn towards drugs, substances to feel happier. This is the house of basically how to kill the ego, the ways you have to kill the ego so you can get purified. Purification is another beautiful description of this house. So I usually say that the more 8th house and 12th house components you have in your birth chart, the more you should be helping others. It might not sound nice, but this is the house where we need to stop licking our wounds. Instead of that, we can go and then help others to tune in their lives. In many cases, we are at the mercy of others. The more planets you've got here, the more you might be exposed to other people's influences and power. Because this house is the second from your 8th house, so therefore it could show the financial situation of your spouse and others as well. And sometimes these relationships can feel very fated to them. Now, in modern astrology, this is the house which rules over sexuality. And achieving orgasm is often called little death because it is a surrender to your primal energies. So merging with another person in the sex act is a transformation and the release of energy. I've spoken about sexuality in the 5th house, which I said I believe 5th house talks more about sexuality than the 8th house. But the 8th house is also connected here, but it's more about that soul connections, the soul bond with someone else. So basically, this house for me is the house of inner nakedness. So why am I not completely honest with others? Why am I not being able to completely trust? How does my partner's assets undermining my values and resources? So I think this house also shows how we can heal ourselves. This is the house of operation. And actually, you can operate your own psyche as well by transforming your own thoughts. Firstly, it comes with facing your own fears. Get into the bottom of your control issues. The healing comes from the deep probing into the underlying currents that feed a personal demon and eventually being liberated from those. This house also talks about occultism, something which is hidden. So I would say this house will describe your hidden abilities as well, because in most cases, it will be sextile in your midheaven. And midheaven is about how to gain a social status in the society. The house cusp shows in what ways or what talent you can use or you should invest into to be able to make success in your life and make it easier to form a social status in the society. This is the house of betrayal and infidelity. So in many cases, planets here show that someone got cheated on or betrayed. So for instance, if you've got moon here, you might have been betrayed by your mom or whatever moon rules in your chart. It might have been just a promise they didn't deliver, but that is the root of your everyday existence. So also speaking about sexuality, Another question which comes with this house is, why do I deny orgasm from myself? So interestingly enough, the French calls orgasm as a little death because you allow someone to enter your soul. But orgasm also means that you reach an exalted state of mind. So this house, as much as it talks about the darkness, it also talks about the light as well. Um, and we will be experiencing death and rebirth as part of our lives. So, for instance, a failed relationship leads to a new one. So the eighth house very much talks about that one door is closing and another one is opening up. So in many cases, a transit, for instance, going through your eighth house can indicate career changes, or you're going to have a new hairstyle. We are regenerated and reborn with each new phase, and we should welcome those changes. So therefore, this house can be associated with opportunities also. Shared resources also fall within the eighth house topics. So anything to do with inheritance, alimony, taxes, insurance claims, and support from others. Whether it is financial support, spiritual, emotional, or physical support, all those are addressed by this house. For instance, anytime you need to fund a big idea, your chances for success would all come under this house. I give you a very interesting analogy. Eighth house rules toilets and bathrooms. And I've heard it so many times that people feel reborn once they have had a shower because you get rid of all the dirt. So using the loo is also eliminating the superfluous things in your body, and you feel refreshed. So the planet and its ruler shows what area of life you have got something to eliminate. I would call it like a phoenix bird. So you need to burn something down and fly away. In tarot cards, this house is very much associated with the judgment card or the devil card. The judgment card is something where you need to rise above the ground and climbing out of your own grave because you are the one who digs it. And the devil card is being chained to the devil. So therefore, this house talks about your obsessions, which you need to cut yourself off from. So the signs and the planets in the eighth house reveal whether you might marry, for instance, someone wealthy, or you're going to be receiving an inheritance, or you can have a lucrative business partnership with someone, or it even shows that you're going to marry someone who maybe eventually they have to declare bankruptcy or get in trouble for tax evasions, or maybe having terrible luck with business partnerships. So, some of the questions this house definitely brings to your attention is, the need to merge, such as how can I merge my needs, values, resources with others? So how will a partner increase or decrease my wealth? How likely am I to receive an inheritance? How sexually compatible am I with my partner? Or will my investment be successful? All these questions are answered by the eighth house. Now, eighth house is also the house of crime and police forces. So it's going to be asking about what area of life you have been violated, your fears and your psychological problems, area of life where we are lacking control, area of life where we need to cleanse all past, where and how we can claim our power back over our lives. the areas that dominate us until we release them and gain control back. But it also could show what area of life we are going to be experiencing extremes of life and death situations as well. So all you need to do is just looking at the ruler of your 8th house, what house sign it is placed in, and also the aspects to that planet, most probably within about 5 degrees. So, you know, but apart from that, it could show your greatest fears, what you are ashamed of, or what are you jealous of? What area of life you allowing yourself to be manipulated or to become manipulative? To become manipulative. This is the house of the loss of the ego. And firstly, this house says you need to work on your soul, not necessarily rejecting your shadow, because your shadow will come in different shapes, forms, and sizes. Now, in medical fields, this house will represent surgery, timing and the circumstances of your death, but also your DNA, your inherited diseases. When it comes to body part, it rules your sexual organs, toxins within your body, the reproductive system, and your large bowels, your genitals. When it comes to turned house meanings, basically this is going to be the hobby of your father, because this is the 5th from the 4th house. My partner's money and self-worth, because the 2nd from the 7th. My children's home environment, because the 4th from the 5th. My siblings' health conditions, because this is the 6th from the 3rd house. My friend's job, the 11th from the 11th. And the 10th from the 11th. And also your mom's friends, the 11th from the 10th house. In mundane astrology, the 8th house rules the money that is not ours. So the debt of a country, city, or corporation, the loans we take out or the loans we give to others, the interest rate and the taxes. So tax office is also ruled by the 8th house. 8th house is also associated with death, but alongside with the 4th and the 12th house. So in mundane astrology, it is going to be talking to us about the death ratio within the country. In mundane astrology, the 8th house also associated with, or it involves with murder, terror attacks, shootings. So any type of violence towards the country, which is kind of destroying their reputation. But I've also seen in many cases that the 8th house pops up in regards to situations where inequality is a topic, or somehow people feels oppressed. So this is our 8th house. So whether you're gonna get a loan, for instance, or what type of relationship you will have with the banks, with tax offices, whether the tax office comes to visit you or not, what do they want from you? That is all shown by 8th house matters. So thank you very much for your attention. I hope this gives you a little bit of a clarity of how to go about the 8th house. If you have got any questions, then just pop it in the comment box below. But don't forget to press like and share the video, and also ring the notification bell. Have a blessed week, everyone, and see you very soon with the 9th house interpretation. Blessed be. Bye-bye.